Hello everybody, welcome to Absolute Sim Racing 2. The fifth round of the BSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy here from the wonderful Bathurst circuit. Mount Panorama has had a historic significance in this BSR MX5 championship. I've been here numerous times, both as a racer and a commentator, and the racing is absolutely top-notch, one that you'll be wanting to watch all four of the races this evening. I'm Ed May, and joining me in the commentary box this evening is not the usual Dan Handover. He's on the cameras for the evening, feeling a little bit sore, so he's not able to talk you through all the action. So instead, we've brought in Cameron Hawes. Cameron, you were here for, I believe, the second round of the championship at Monza, and you're back in at Bathurst. Great to have you, and I'm certain that you'll be looking forward to this one as much as I am as well.
Yeah, I was here for the Monza races, and it was incredible racing. And if we have that sort of racing at Bathurst, there's probably going to be a big accident. But it will still be interesting to watch. And you can guarantee from these guys and from the level that these guys are at, it's going to be a really good night of racing.
Absolutely, a bumper grid, another hefty number of cars going to be climbing up and down the mountain. I think, again, there's around about 40 drivers all trying to fight for position and fight for top honours this evening. We are just at the beginning of qualifying. No times being set just yet, of course, because it's a long outlap and a long flying lap. Around about 2.5 minutes it takes these little MX5s to try and get their way around the circuit. So we'll try and find someone to go on board with and have a look. As you can see, though, on the left-hand side, championship standings, top of the pile, Ben Sharp. However, he's not here this evening. He's down in Milan working on the World Endurance Championship cars. I believe the Project One Porsches is the team he's going to be helping. So there's a fair few reasons to miss a round of a championship. I think that's probably one of the better ones, going down to sunny Milan and working on the World Endurance Championship.
Yeah, it's not a bad reason to miss out on a sim race, is it? Working on some proper big race cars, and hopefully his weekend goes well. Yeah, there's no reason why it shouldn't. I know Ben. I've known Ben for quite a while, and he's a really nice guy, and definitely knows his way around a car. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what some of his championship rivals will be able to do. Of course, Jason Cooper is going to be out in force. You can count on that. We're just following, though, first of the qualifying laps to come through. In the background, Jason Cooper going through. Arthur Panzer, I think, is going to be setting the benchmark time for drivers in qualifying. Goes fastest with a 2-minute 30.9, but Jason Cooper takes that away with a 2-minute 30.1. Like I said, 2.5 minutes it takes for these drivers to get around the circuit. Long lap time, and slipstream is key. You've got this long straight up the hill coming out of Hell Corner, and then of course the long straight coming out of Forest Elbow. But now we're starting to see an array of times coming in, and look at how close they are. A sea of orange there on the left hand side of your screen.
Yeah, just watching those first cars. Douglas Stewart getting a little bit of an off track through the final corner, so his lap wasn't valid, so that's why he hasn't got a lap set at the moment, even though he went across the line. As these guys are fighting for track position going into the mountain, they've had the slipstream all the way down straight, and I don't know who that was getting forced wide.
That was Glenn Humberston getting a bit of a bump, I think, from Lee Holmes.
Yeah, this track is so tight, and it's pretty bad for wheel-to-wheel racing, but when you get it and there's no incident, it is very, very close. And
on a correction, actually. That was Lee Holmes getting a bump from the number 9, and that is Craig Cockrell, actually. So I got both of the drivers confused this time. Lee Holmes with a hit up the rear, and you can see actually a definite bit of damage to the front of Craig Cockrell's Gaton Simsport car, and we've seen time and time again that really does impact your straight line speed. He's trying to get out of the way, sharp intake of breath by Cameron there tells you how close that was to a big incident. If I was him, I'd just pull over fully off of the circuit and get that car repaired. Maybe he isn't able to see the damage. Goes to an almost complete standstill down through Skyline.
Probably not the best
carry
place
on
to
going
stop,
though.
really.
Definitely not the best place to stop in sort of the downhill of the mountain, but he's making it work there or thereabouts. Another driver that's going to be trying to make it work out for him is Jason Cooper. You can see on the bottom, no personal bests being set from him, apart from, of course, that 4th sector. So it doesn't look like an astonishingly quick lap time coming through by Jason. But of course, he's also just trying to get the tyres in the perfect window. Go for that all-important pole position lap time. With a healthy margin, though, he has to second place Craig Cockrell, nearly half a second clear of the rest of the field.
Yeah, there's some when on this track you really do need to have the knack to go quick, and it definitely looks like Jason Cooper has got that knack. It's like a 2:30.1, which, as you said, half a second quicker than the rest of the field, or half a second quicker than P2, and then it's just really closely followed. And I think Jason Cooper has definitely set a lot of practice laps to kind of get that lap time sorted.
Yeah, have a look further down the order. Other drivers starting qualifying laps, going to the end of qualifying laps. One of them being Adam Fox. You can see a bit of damage there to the right-hand side. Wing mirror just hanging there by its side. Very narrow through cutting. Or chase, I can't remember which one that is. They're both
Chase.
similar corners. That was the chase. They're up through the final part of the lap now into Murray's. Such a difficult corner to get right. There's no real markers other than the lighting poles on the right-hand side. And of course, the curb is very nasty. You can't take a nice tight line inside. You need to late apex, power out, carry the momentum through and up to the line. Adam Fox goes. And he is currently back. Oh, the drivers who've set a qualifying lap time, probably setting at a banker. 390 down in 19th place. Of course, these 19 drivers that have set lap times aren't the only drivers out on circuit. Other drivers have been, of course, excluded from qualifying following infringements down in Zandvoort. So they'll be starting on the grid, but down behind all the drivers that we're seeing on track at the moment, setting lap times in qualifying. Shane Piggott looks to be trying to get a very good lap time here. So 2 car just up in front, trying not to get in the way. That is Jomi Scott.
Just looking at the gap.
Forest Elbow, sorry.
Just looking at the gap of Piggott and Sansom there, 0.004 of a second. Now, around Bathurst, that is so easy it's so easy to lose time. So to have that sort of gap is like having less than 1,000th of a second gap at Monza. It is incredibly close around here.
Yeah, and we have seen races actually where there was less than 1,000 gap at the line of photo finish cars identical across the line. Nowhere to make sense, heads or tails of them. That was last season. And we often see in this championship, because of how close the drivers are, photo finishes at the line, finishes separated by thousandths of a second. Shane Piggott, though, was able to get a lovely tow from the 72 and now has clear track. So as he makes his way through the final corner, comes up to the line. What lap time will it be for Shane Piggott? Will there be an improvement? There is. Up to 10th place overall. Good lap time there by Shane. And I think there's still a little bit more in the tank from him just yet. James Neve coming across the line there for a lap time that will be 14th best. Just ahead of fastest AM driver, who's not on track at the moment, Glenn Humberston. So Glenn doing very good lap time, best of the rest in the AMs. And have a look further up. Jason Cooper is, I think, extended his margin at the top, hasn't he? Yes, now over half a second between himself and Craig Cockrell, nearly dipping into the 2-minute 39s.
Yeah, 2 minute 29.
Yeah, 2 minute 29.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was gonna say.
Getting carried away with myself.
Yeah, the 2 minute 29s around here is very, very quick. That is sort of GT4 lap times. So you doing GT4 lap times in Mazdas without downforce that's some driving. That's some extremely good driving.
Very quick pace indeed being shown by Jason Cooper, who's going to try and claw back any margins he can to championship leader. An absentee Ben Sharp this evening. Sam Smith, we're going to go on board with here. He's just on an outlap, so not trying to set the time board to light just now, but he'll be right there at the end of qualifying. Fresh pair of boots on, and, well, track pretty much all to himself. They tend to find towards the end of qualifying there aren't too many drivers actually out on circuit, so what will Sam Smith be able to pull out of the bag this last time around? Of course, as well, Jason Cooper, I'm trying to look to see what his sectors are doing, and they're not looking too magical, are they? You can see them at the bottom of your screen there with a 2 minute 30 lap time coming through. Not even that, a 2 minute very long lap time here. So he's probably cooled it down on the final sector, giving himself plenty of time, plenty of chance to make that last ditch improvement. So Jason Cooper starts his final qualifying lap. Lee Holmes will around Murray's to start his final lap, improves and up into 12th place. So good time being set there by the 35. He got involved in a little bit of a scrap early on with Craig Cockrell, but that's a lap time that he's definitely not going to be able to improve on. Mistake coming through Hell Corner, and it's called that because it is just hellish when you try and get it right. It's so tricky every single time, and if you get it wrong, well, it is a racing driver's nightmare because you're slow all the way down this long straight up the hill into Griffin's Bend, hemorrhaging time, and no driver wants that, do they?
No, not at all. And we can see as well the gap between Jason Cooper and Craig Cockrell of just over 5/10. But if we look a little bit further down, the gap between Tom Griffiths and Michael Seal of 0.018 of a second. This is getting close. Whoa, 0.018 of a second, which is just extremely close for even Mazdas, but never mind Mazdas at Bathurst. I think we're in for I'm sorry, I'm just looking down the field again. Luke Cooper and Shane Piggott, 6,000ths of a second. James King and Sam Smith. This is just so close. It's unbelievable. These guys are so equal on pace. It is outstanding. And Ben Sharp, obviously not being here this week, has taken another car out of it. But I can guarantee if he was here this week, it would be even closer than it already is.
And I'll tell you what, the only thing I've got to say to that is welcome back to BSR. This is what we've been seeing all season long, the closest margins, the thinnest gaps between positions, both in qualifying and in all of the races. So we're going to see what Sam Smith can do. He's got clear track all around him. Cars as well in the pit lane, not able to improve on their lap times. So we're going to see what he can do. I believe the two Coopers are just coming through the final sector now to try and improve on their qualifying times. See if perhaps Luke Cooper can make an improvement on 8th place. I don't really expect anyone to hold a candle to the pace that's being shown by our pole sitter, Jason Cooper. I think we've just seen them come to the end of their laps and no improvements for either driver, it seems. Oh my word! Sam Smith clatters into the wall on the exit of Forest's Elbow, takes too much speed in and ends up on his roof.
Yeah, not ideal for a Mazda. It's usually having four wheels on the track is probably a better idea to go quick. Although I have seen a race I have seen a race on iRacing where a car has finished on his roof, which wasn't ideal, as James Clark there goes P16 with Arthur Panzel improving as well, and Michael Seal spinning right at the end of his lap. He was on for
Yeah, it was going to be a
think he
good
was on for
lap
a
time
quick lap.
from Michael Seal. Actually, no, that wasn't. That was an outlap by Michael Seal.
Oh, was it?
So on our tiring screens. So he was just a little bit too late, and by a little bit too late, I mean quite late to get around for another qualifying lap. Missing out, unfortunately, but plenty of drivers still out there. James Clark has already passed the checkered flag, so he's just using this time to get a little bit more practice in, as well as just bring the car through, coming into the pits. And maybe on his qualifying laps, he's realised there's areas where he can improve, areas where he can go quicker, and he's just trying different things at this last stage. Of course, some drivers would love to have an extra session, won't they, after qualifying just before the race gets started, to just try and get their eye in again.
Yeah, some guys do prefer to have another lap, and sometimes it is a lot better to have another lap because you messed up all your other ones. And I do know the pain. I know the pain of having just that one good lap where you're on track to knock out land speed records and you mess it up right at the end, which is it's really unfortunate for some of the guys. As you see James Clark improving on his lap. Checkered flag is out, so this will be the final lap of the session. So no pressure, James, because everybody is watching you.
He's back out.
Yeah, he's backed out of the lap.
The pressure proved too much for James Clark as he peels off into the pit lane. And then we wait for iRacing to say when we're allowed to get the racing underway. Of course, the first race determined by the qualifying order, and then the subsequent races 2, 3, and 4, are all determined by the wonderful reverse grid spinning wheel. And the reverse grid has been throwing up quite a few full reverses. We'll hope that maybe for this race we have a bit of variety, because while we do love full reverses, they can maybe upset some of the drivers, especially the ones that finish right at the front and then find themselves down at the back. And that just means that we also see a few more incidents. And we don't want that, do we, Cam?
Not really. Incidents make racing exciting, but they also ruin some races. So it's a lot better to have an incident-free race. And yeah, I really hope we have an incident-free race this time. Not many accidents, and hopefully everybody is going to be respectful of everybody else and just give them that little bit more room, because this is, a very tight track. So see what they can do.
Racing drivers, respectful. I don't know what you're talking about. We're going to be seeing, though, Jason Cooper on your screens here, pole position on the front row of the grid with Craig Cockrell alongside him, nearly 6/10 of a second, the gap between first and second, which is an absolute age in these BSR Mazdas. Arthur Panzel, though, not too far back from Craig there on the front of the second row. Michael Sill alongside him in fourth. Tom Griffiths, Michael Clough, Nick Postons, Luke Cooper, Shane Piggott, and James King complete your top 10, with Sam Smith 11th and Lee Holmes making up the 6th row of the grid. Douglas Stewart in 13th place ahead of Julian Schroer, James Neve, James Clark, Adam Fox, Jomi Scott, Glenn Humberston, Colin Sansom, Simon Robson, Mark Oliver, Anthony Beck, and Nick Clibbins. Then we can see 25th place with Andy McEwen ahead of Luke Grunman, Chris Slater, Stephen Cox, Duncan Cope, Craig McDonald, Robert Noble, Michael Linscombe Hatfield, Liam Stimpson, and Fiona Siddons down in 34th place. But that is all of the cars on the grid. A little while before we can get this race underway, Cam, and well, you should probably be able to put money on a Jason Cooper victory here because of how strong his qualifying was.
Yeah, 5/10, nearly 6/10 in qualifying is a lot around here, and if he can keep that lap consistent all the way through the race, or even knock 3 or 4 tenths, add 3 or 4 tenths onto that, he's going to be in a very good shout of a race win and some very good points for in the championship.
Yeah, driver to look out for that we're going to be highlighting, I think, when we can get a close camera angle, is this man, Arthur Panzel. At the start has been getting very good getaways. Maybe it's something to do with being on a controller. Who knows? Jason Cooper, they will look to control the race from the start if he gets the good getaway, which he seems to do just about. A good margin there to Craig Cockrell, and Arthur Panzel diving down the inside. So keep an eye on him at the start, getting a brilliant getaway here. But fighting around the outside goes Craig. This is going to be 2x2 up the hill. up the mountain straight
Just watch
and into
Michael
Griffin's
Seal.
Bend. Watch all of this. Yeah, Michael Seal bumping him along. They're both sort of bump drafting each other, aren't they? Michael Seal and Tom Griffiths trying to help their respective horses out there, trying to see exactly which way they can go through. And down the inside, Craig Cockrell will hold on to second place. Arthur Panzel tries it around the outside, but isn't able to do it. And Tom Griffiths finds himself up in third place. But this is the dream start for Jason Cooper. All squabbling happening behind him. It's allowing him to build that margin further back. Well, it's a massive, massive train of MX5s. They're all looking down on the inside. Craig McDonald going for a move and has collisions there with, I believe, was that Stephen Cox? It was definitely a car that was involved and bumped out of the way. Look at this, though. All of the cars coming up the hill. A wonderful sight. And then bringing their way back down through the mountain. They will go. Coming up to McPhillamy Park. And now into Skyline down through the air. This is Nick Poston with a great move. That on Luke Cooper. And now he's going to try and hold firm, hold strong, and stay close enough to the cars in front to get the slipstream coming out of this corner. Forest Elbow down the Conwad straight. We're going to see a replay here, and it was all kicked off by a mistake on Luke Cooper. Nick Boston seized the opportunity with both hands, committed down the inside, didn't sort of half send it, didn't think, oh, will I, won't I? No, he was firm and committed, which is great racing there. Meanwhile, Tom Griffiths going for a move on Craig Cockrell. Tom having an excellent start to the race, up 3 positions on the opening lap into second. So his qualifying performance might flatter to deceive, but he's overshot it too much coming through the chase, and now he's going to be vulnerable into Murray's corner. Down the inside, Craig Cockrell will go late on the brakes and take second place back for himself. Dab on the curb, though. Look at that. And now it's opening back up again for Tom Griffiths.
Yeah, Tom Griffiths is getting the incredible run, but we can't count out Arthur Panzel yet, as Julian Schroer unfortunately had a little bit of an off track and clipped the wall, I think. And
he's already lost the car well before everything happens. His car very, very loose. Maybe there's a bit of damage or something to that car, because look at how much he was fighting the steering wheel. And then he hit the wall afterwards, but he was fighting still so much coming through the chase. So very, very strange there. Let's see if he's going to continue the race or if he's going to peel off into the pits later on. Meanwhile, going to be following the Rapid Motorsport car of Nick Poston. It's the number 15. Very distinctive livery with the light blue and bright yellow. Easily visible on the circuit, and he was able to hold on after getting ahead of Luke Cooper and actually close the gap down to all those in front. So we're on track for a great fight. Meanwhile, on board with Craig McDonald, making his way through the cutting. Then up through Griffin's Mount. Look, he's going to try and go around the outside. Julian Schroer's car doesn't seem to be too much damaged, because he's right there in that fight, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Julian obviously had that little bit of an off track, and that's firing up for this battle. And I really do. He's definitely going to get past Chris McDonald at this rate. Just going through the grid, Liam Stimson had an incredible start. He's up 10 positions.
Yeah, very good stuff there by Chris Slater. See what you can do now. I just love this bit when they come down through the dipper. You see the cars sort of undulating, the suspension working its magic. And now into Forest's Elbow, powering out and along the Conrad straight. The slipstream is so strong on this circuit. You can make up a lot of time, around about 7/10 a lap if you get it absolutely done to perfection. And perfection is what we're seeing there. Michael Seal, nice move down on the inside of Craig Cockrell through the chase, and now with a little bit of slipstream is able to hold on to that position. But up in front, we're talking about position, perfect moves being made. A perfect race is being made by this man up in front. 4.5 seconds clear of the rest of the field, and we're only 5 minutes into this 15-minute race.
Yeah, 15 minutes doesn't seem like a long time, but Yeah, Colin Sanson here, just with a little bit of a replay. Big slide through final corner, hitting the wall. And yeah, that's going to be a loss of quite a few positions, unfortunately, for him. I think we're going to go to Stephen Cox as well, an instant through Skyline. Is he just going to lose the car on the turn in, or on the exit, or on the curb? On the curb, straight into the wall. And that's going to be a lot of damage. And that's going to put him into required repairs and probably in the pit lane.
Yeah, that was a pull to the pit lane. Getting out of that as quickly as possible, not to block the circuit for any drivers that were to come through. So very smart stuff there by Stephen Cox. Oh, well, there's long trains everywhere we look. Speaking of Luke, Cooper's up there, isn't he? Number 10, or 10th place rather. Oh, he's trying to dice it, isn't he? And he's just getting forced offline each way, and every way he tries to go, he's not getting any fortune shuffled back through the pack. All of a sudden, Sam Smith's going to look for a move around the outside through McPhillamy Park. If he can make it, that'd be brilliant. But it's such a long, fast, sweeping left-hander that when you're around the outside, you just hung out to dry. As they went down through Skyline and the S's, and then into the dipper car, scraping the wall, trying to use all of the circuit and a little bit more. But of course, it's not faster, is it, to clatter into the wall? They're just sort of kissing it a bit.
Yeah, just rubbing into that wall. You need to be right on the limit, but as long as you can just if you put your finger out the window, you should be able to touch the wall, and that's how close you should be. If you're any closer, then you're probably off the track. As we see Julian Schroeder's battle here with Craig McDonald, and he's going to probably get the slipstream all the way down straight and try and get into the chase. But we know what happened the last time he went through the chase and tried to get a move done. We'll just watch on board and see what happens. He's just going to try and hold the slipstream. This is going to be very close going into the corner. Yeah, this is going to be very, very close. Slow car on the left. Wow.
Simon Robson, very slow. That was the number 17. And there's an incident up in front. You can see a cloud of smoke up there. I'm not sure who's been involved in an incident. I think Shane Piggott potentially. And Nick Postons.
Real shame for Nick Postons. He had a really good start to his race. And here's a replay of the incident. Oh, he gets bumped. Oh, that'll annoy him. That'll annoy him a lot.
Shane Piggott completely missing his braking zone there. And I think what we see is that Shane then actually drops back to try and give the position to Nick Postons. But damage has been done, isn't it? It's not the fact that Nick Postons is sad that he was going to lose out to Shane Piggott. No, he's sad that he's lost out on well over 14 positions. So there's Nick Postons. What a great start to the race. And it's all just come undone through no fault of his own, but he's in a position to fight back through the field. The only saving grace is that the damage is not done to the front of the car. Front end damage in these MX5s on iRacing really does butcher your straight line speed, and as a result, on a power dominated circuit like Bathurst, you want as much top speed as you can. Damage to the front of your car certainly throws, well, more than a spanner in the works, let's say that.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, front end damage on these cars is extremely high, and as soon as you get front end damage, you are down on straight line speed, and you are down on a lot more things and turn in, and it's very difficult to gain that time back, especially around Bathurst. So you really, really don't want it.
Yeah, you'd be down the billabong without a paddle, wouldn't you? You'd be absolutely struggling as Michael Seal taps the wall on entry. But it actually kind of almost helped him. It opened up the corner nicely, and that bump to the wall, for some reason, that gave him a little bit of extra on turning. I don't know if he's going to be doing that every single lap time. I wouldn't advise it, because iRacing's damage can be sometimes funky, sometimes a bit strange, never ever consistent. That's the main thing. So I doubt Michael C is going to be looking to do that over and over again. Down the Conrod straight, these two are going. Lee Holmes down to the inside of Michael Clough, but into the chase, late enough on the brakes. Who's going to slot through? Lee Holmes stays up there in 7th place, got the move done and held on nicely. In the background, we can see the number 4, Randy McEwen, making up a fair few places so far this race. He did start right from the back, and he's up 15 so far. Hearing as well that I think other drivers have had incidents, so we'll
Michael
Eyes open for that.
Seal.
Michael Seal, and also I think Liam Stimpson had an off. Liam Stimpson was the driver that had made the most positions this race, up 16, but now he's only up 12. So something must have happened to the fastest the top placed AM in this race so far. Look at this, there are a pack of MX5s going 2 wide. Michael Steele with slipstream could try and look to the inside and make it 3 wide, but I don't think it'd be very advisable. Instead, he's going to hope to get the inside line. Actually, no, goes to the outside and then takes the normal racing line. That's going to maximize his exit through the corner and actually help him to get through on the 222 of Arthur Panzel. So good position of the car there from Michael Seal, but he'll be vulnerable this time coming into the cutting. And I think just about Arthur Panzel is going to get the move done. Muscles his way past Michael Seal, who gets a bump over the curve and around the outside. Lee Holmes is going to take the advantage and go up there. They're still battling, dicing for positions. Side by side they go. This is an excellent stuff. Meanwhile, I think Andy McEwen was able to get through all of the traffic we were talking about earlier. And he's having an absolutely storming race, up 17 places already.
Yeah, up loads of positions. And as we got a replay here of Andy McEwen.
That was why. There was an incident that Andy McEwen was just able to send his way through. Michael Clough involved. I'm not sure what else that was, but it looked like a bit of a nasty one. So hopefully the drivers were able to keep the car without too much damage, because we are into the late stage row. Speaking of damage, oh my word, what's gone on here? Oh dear, there's a big incident there. Luke Grundman is involved, as is Jeremy Scott. Luke Grundman, I think, is potentially out of the race. We'll see a replay here. Jeremy Scott in Rust Bucket Racing. Oh, that was kicked off by one of the RAF eMotorsports cars. I'm just trying to see which one that was. It could have been, was it Chris Slater? Maybe. Oh my word, it's just a car park now. Several cars arriving at the scene, trying to get through nice and safely. The number 023 of Mark Oliver actually.
Oh, big spin.
Oh no! My word, Jeremy Scott was then taken out of the race. A wheel out, and well, you know a little bit about that, don't you, Cam?
Oh, really? Really? Did you have to do that? Oh, yeah. I was racing IRL, for people that don't know, last weekend. Oh, big accident there. And, oh.
Yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare for Cameron racing at the weekend, but his first race went a little bit better.
Yeah,
so
sorry about that.
We can shine the light on that one later. Look at that slide, though, coming out of the final corner by Chris Slater. Able to hang on to the car just about, and we are actually on to the final lap of the race.
Already?
Jason Cooper with a big margin. The white flag was just waved. I think I saw it there at the start-finish line. So Jason Cooper, the Swift Cooper Esports, is having a absolute dream start to his evening.
These guys
Who else will be in Dreamland, though? Look at all of these cars all fighting for position, trying to get up there, up the order as quickly as they can. This is the fight for the podium places. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, tenth. Take your pick. Who's going to come through? Andy McEwen as well could be on for somehow to get the Pro-Am victory here, because Craig Cockrell up in third place is only a couple cars ahead.
Yeah, somehow Andy McEwen has made up so many places. 19 places Andy McEwen has made up during this race, and even to get a podium, that is incredible. But if he gets the win, that would be so much nicer. I'd love to see him do it this evening. I'd love to see Andy McEwen get a win. As we see a pass there, Liam Stimpson and Nick Postens. This is going to get a lot closer going into the final sectors of this lap. Not even in the final sectors, going through Skyline. That's a really bad place to go too wide, but they're going to try it anyway. Backing out of that move, and getting a little bit of a slide on, going through Skyline. And as we go back to Jason Cooper, going
in front of the field.
Yeah.
Dominant drive, isn't it? There's only 15 seconds until the checkered flag will be waved, and Jason Cooper will be the first to get there after a great start. Meanwhile, in the background, Craig Cockrell has gone for the move on Tom Griffiths into the chase. We'll have to try and cover it all. Tom Griffiths bumping over the curbs. He's got a great run, and he's going to look for a move into the final corner. Jason Cooper will come across the line to take the race victory. Great drive, of course, from race Victor, but oh my word, massive accident on the final corner. all three drivers in contention for the podium taken out in one fell swoop. Tom Griffiths, Craig Cockrell, Arthur Panzel, they were up there all race long, and one misjudgment at the line is all it'll take for them to get knocked down, and down they fall. Unfortunate there. We can hopefully try and get a replay of that after the race to try and piece together exactly what happened, because that was massive. Helped out a few drivers, of course. Michael Seal ended up taking the Pro-Am victory there. And Andy McEwen make up 21 places, most of any driver this race. But there we go. Oh, and it was a look down to the inside there by Tom Griffiths. But Arthur Panzel was already there, and he was just taken out. They were all sort of taken out, I guess, to one degree or another. And then the number 9 has a little bit of a kiss or a headbutt, depending on how annoyed or amorous he's feeling. Just on board from Tom Griffiths. Looks like a sickening impact, and now he's just willing it across the line. Damaged, battered and bruised MX5 comes across the line there to finish eventually in the top 10 in 8th place, but that's one that will definitely be looked at by the stewards.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be definitely an incident the stewards. And I think that's going to be very close as we see Lee Holmes going to the final corner, watching it all go on ahead of him and gets past all. And that's how you gain positions. As we
and look at it at the line, so close between all three eventually. And McKeon was checked up trying to avoid the incident. That allowed the other two to speed on by. But we have now come to the end of the race. And as the drivers make their way into the pit lane, we can bring up the reverse grid spinning wheel to determine the fates of the drivers and find out who will be on reverse grid pole position. Chance of a full reverse grid or only a top 11. So the wheel will start to spin. And where will it land? What are we going to get for the second race of the evening? And it is a top 11 reverse grid. A nice small low start to the evening for reverse grids, which will obviously help out Jason Cooper to no end and mean that he could be on for a chance for a second race victory, only starting in 11th place.
Yeah, it's going to be a very close race for race 2. I reckon it's going to be a completely different outcome, and it's just going to be close. Bathurst is always like this: GT3s, GT4s, and apparently Mazdas.
Yeah, it's a very interesting evening to say the least. But as well, what we noticed in that race was just the pace of some of the drivers, isn't it? Andy McEwen coming up through the order, as did Liam Stimpson. That's not going to do either of these drivers too many favours, of course, because they're being told, and a lot of drivers in this championship are campaigning for them to get moved up into a higher class. Liam Stimpson's a driver that people are saying should be put up to Pro-Am. But Andy McEwen is a driver that many people think could be a pro, but we've been told that there's not likely to be any movement so far in the season. So it will stay as it is, but we have the race results up on your screens now. Jason Cooper takes the first race victory of the evening by 11.5 seconds to James King in second place. And I don't think James was maybe expecting to find himself up on the podium, especially at the end of the race, but it worked out for him, as does as well Michael Seal, who takes the Pro-Am victory. Great drive from 4040 racing driver Andy McEwen. We said make the most positions up that race, 21 gained from the start, up into fourth place, second in Pro-Am, and Lee Holmes completes the Pro-Am podium there in fifth place ahead of Luke Cooper, Michael Clough, Tom Griffiths, James Clark and Sam Smith, who rounds out the top 10 with James Neve, Adam Fox, Nick Clibbins, Douglas Stewart, Nick Postons, and the aforementioned Am class victor Liam Stimpson down in 16th place, ahead of Anthony Beck 17th and Robert Noble 18th. 19th place, we'll see. We've got a shining light actually on 11th place. James Neve, forgot to mention, he'll be starting on pole position. Getting carried away with myself here. 19th place then, down to Chris Slater, ahead of second place in the Am class, Mark Oliver. Michael Linscombe Hatfield down in 21st. Colin Sansom, Shane Piggott, Simon Robson, Fiona Siddons, Craig Cockrell, Arthur Panzel, and Luke Grundman down in 28th place. So other drivers 1 lap down. They still score points, of course. Julian Schauer, Jeremy Scott, and Duncan Cope. And then the non-finishers 2 laps down or more. First of which is Craig McDonald, followed by Glenn Humberston and Stephen Cox.
Arthur Panzel, P27 after running P3 and P4 all the way through the race. Very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, obviously missing a wheel, beached in the gravel, wasn't able to get the car up and running to bring it across the line. Instead, had to tow across the line, had to tow into the pits, and that put him a lap down because he wasn't obviously able to finish that final lap that he was on. Bitterly disappointing for the Sabiki racing driver, as well though Craig Cockrell, 9th place, wasn't able to bring it across the line in time either. So unfortunate to see, and I'll have a look to see as well if there are any drivers coming in for an interview, Karen, but I don't think there are. So we'll go for a short break here on Absolute Sim Racing before we jump into the second race of the evening. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back in just a few moments' time. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing for this, the second race of the evening here at Bathurst for the MX5 Tegiwa MX5 trophy. And this is a brilliant little evening we've had so far. First race victory, of course, going the way of brilliant Jason Cooper. He had an amazing start to his evening. Pole position, fastest lap, and well, of course, taking the all-important victory as well, and with an 11th grid place start for this second race and a top 11 reverse grid. He could be an outside shot to win the second, not too many places for him to make up. He will be able to make up places if those in front of him do exactly what we've just seen that car do. The 94 of James Clark getting all sorts of out of shape coming down the mountain there. They'll obviously be hoping to not make a repeat of that in the race. As well, will Shane Piggott coming into Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, not ideal to have that going into Griffin's Bend. Just bonking the wall and getting a little bit of damage on the front end. We're probably going to see a lot more of that in practice. Probably qualifying and the race. So, we haven't got qualifying, it's a reverse grid, isn't it? But probably practice and the race. So yeah, it's gonna be quite interesting to watch this race as well as a reverse grid. So the fast guys are gonna be coming through, and Arthur Pansel. Oh, wow! What a move there by those two cars. I didn't quite get the numbers, but yeah, what a move by those two cars avoiding that incident.
Even the practice sessions are entertaining. Look at this. This big train of MX5s all racing together, going up the mountain straight into Griffin's Bend. Annie McEwen going down the inside of number 6 of Luke Cooper, of course. This is just practice. The drivers eyeing each other up, trying to find all of the space available to them. And I think Jason Cooper's in a good spot because he's practicing being at the back of the train this time instead of being at the front in clear air. You need to race differently, of course, on the second races if you win the first, because you find yourself in the mid-pack and with a lot of work to do to try and climb back up through the order. So what will all of these drivers be able to pull off? Well, we'll find out very shortly as checkered flag is waved in this warm-up session, and we'll be able to get right up into the race. We'll have to run through it very quickly because there's only about a minute before the drivers get started. Douglas Stewart here on pole position, but I don't think that's right. I think that's off of the practice results. We'll try and flash it up again, and this time have it right. James Neve ahead of Sam Smith, James Clark, Tom Griffiths, Michael Clough, Luke Cooper, Lee Holmes, Andy McEwen, Michael Seal, James King, Jason Cooper, race victor last time out in 11th, ahead of Adam Fox in 12th. Quick rundown of the rest. Nick Clemens, Douglas Stewart, Nick Postance, Liam Stimpson, Anthony Beck, Robert Noble, Chris Slater, Mark Oliver, Michael Linscombe Hatfield, Colin Sansom, Shane Piggott, and Simon Robson. And then Fiona Siddons, Craig Cockrell, Arthur Panzel, Luke Grunman, Julian Schroer, Jeremy Scott, Duncan Cope, Glenn Humberston, and Stephen Cox in 33rd place. And now it's only 10 seconds until the green flag is waved. James Neve at the front of the field ahead of Sam Smith. What can James do from the get-go? We'll find out shortly as the lights come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we go green. We go racing here. James Neve, not the best start, but the margin to the rest nevertheless. Up ahead of Sam Smith. James Clark slotting in back there in third and getting a good run out of the corner as James, so expect him to make a move up into second place before the end of the mountain straight. In the background, you can see cars off the road. Nick Postance coming through as Liam Stimpson drops down through the order after getting hell corner. All sorts of wrong, all sorts of out of shape there. James Clark got the speed on Sam Smith coming out of Murray's, but is forced around the outside into Griffin's Bend and then looks to get a cutback, looks to get the better run up through the cutting, but it doesn't seem to work out for him. So wasn't able to capitalise, wasn't able to get up into second place in the end. Look at that in the background as well. Tom Griffiths up into fourth place, battling wheel to wheel with Michael Clough. Michael Clough just slotting in front now, so they go single file or a single file as they can do.
Yeah.
Going down the mountain now. I just love this area of the track. High speed, trying to go as flat as they can. You can see there on the left hand side, big incident in the background. We'll come to that in a moment. Just seeing cars go down through the skyline. Yeah, several cars all involved. We'll hope that Arthur Pansel isn't too damaged by that. Of course, he had a dreadful end to the first race after being up at the front for so long, fighting in the podium places. To finish a lap down at the last corner is never good, is it? There's a long train of MX5s from 19th down. Mark Oliver at the front of it.
Yeah, very long train going down as we got a replay here of Sandsman's crash and all car spun, held his brakes and that's the accident. There's the incident. Ow, that's gonna really hurt. Bumping, everyone's bumping. There's a massive crash. Oh dear me. Oh, most people got through unscathed, but there's about 5 or 6 cars there with lots of damage. And as we said in the last race, front end damage is lethal in these cars. Robert Noble mounting the wall there.
Oh no, that wasn't Robert Noble. That was Chris Slater. Collins. Yeah, Chris Slater just getting it all wrong by himself. We see up in front. Yeah, mounts the wall, gets out of the way. Robert Noble tries to come through. I guess doesn't pay heed to the car in front losing it, keeps his foot in, has contact with a car that is going slow to avoid the incident, and then, well, finds himself facing backwards at an area of the circuit you really don't want to be. Having another replay here. This is on board with Chris Slater, and it was just too much into the corner, turning in too early, bump into the wall on the right, bumping into the wall on the left, and then into the other one on the right for good measure, and then has to keep out of the way. Can't really put him at fault for all the other incidents that happened. It was just down to drivers not paying attention to yellow flags. And that's the thing about Bathurst. If there's a yellow flag on the mountain, you have to slow down because of how the walls are. They bring in the accidents a lot closer. It's like a pinball effect, isn't it? Cars bounce left, bounce right, bouncing off the walls into the run of traffic. And you really do need to slow down a lot more than you would at, say, other circuits with sort of conventional runoff areas.
Yeah, it's very, very close, and obviously because in the day and age when this circuit was made, which was along with things like charade and things like that in France, to make things safer, they put concrete walls. And in hindsight, it has made perfect circuits and very exciting, but they're not safe at all. There's only a few runoff areas, and you can't get it wrong.
Although, to be fair, I'd rather have the concrete walls there on that left-hand side rather than, falling down into some trees or down a hill going even faster, not being able to stop. So you can see why they put concrete walls here, of course. It's just means that the incidents can have big knock-on effects for the rest of the field. Meanwhile, look at this, Andy McEwen diving down the inside, a late lunge there on Lee Holmes. Nearly able to get it to stick it in the background. Look at that, Jason Cooper right up behind Andy here. Oh, and having a bit of a bump with Andy, unsettling the Year 1 racing car. Slightly worrying there for Andy. I'm sure he won't be too happy. I think he'll probably decide to let Jason Cooper through because Jason is looking very racy and is not worth running the risk of an incident.
Yeah, it's very, very close between these guys, and it is going to become a train throughout the whole race, just swapping.
Oh, Andy's got a run on him here, though. Andy just suddenly got a run on Jason Cooper after Jason dipped a couple of wheels out onto the grass. Andy's going to look for it around the outside into Murray's. And is he going to be able to hold it there? Not quite. Jason Cooper as well, getting a good exit. Will hold the inside line into Hell Corner. All these cars battling, though. It's allowing Michael Seal to fancy a little bit of a move, perhaps fancy a go on the inside of Andy, but doesn't work out. Jason Cooper takes 7th place eventually, and now they all slot in a long, long train all the way from the lead down to, I believe, 13th place. What a train of MX5s this is.
Yeah, MX5s do need a lot of draft down the straight, as some people are going too wide into the corner. I didn't grab that number, unfortunately, but it just in front of Andy McEwen, we've got Jason Cooper, the winner of the first race, slowly making his way up the field. He's up 4 positions at the moment, and Michael Clough just passing for the lead there, having a battle with James Neve up ahead. I don't know if we can tap to that for a second as they are swapping position. I don't think... There it is. Michael Clough.
Oh, wow, Michael Clough's taking too much as he... He's going to lose out. I think he's just about able to keep it on the circuit and not have another massive incident. Look at this. It's absolute trains 2x2. There you go. It's like a NASCAR circuit, this, where they got a high line and a low line all the way through these long left-handers. Oh, they're all trying to break, check it up, trying not to get involved. Andy McEwen around the outside of Tom Griffiths. Good little move that down through the S's after Skyline. And there's a big crunch up in front. Sam Smith, I think, clarts it into the wall. Michael Clough goes through, and Sam Smith, has he got damage? Is he just slowed down into Boris Elbow? And Andy McEwen gets a little bit too friendly with James Neve. The cars slow each other down massively, and that is going to allow so many more to slide on through. So I'm not sure what exactly happened here. Jason Cooper, though, is going to try and bump James Neve by Andy McEwen. Andy, poor lad, could be getting hung out to dry. Jason Cooper you never want to be hitting the car to bump draft him through, and there's contact. Drifts out wide into Andy McEwen. Jason Cooper off into the wall.
Big accident.
Big damage there. Big incident. I'm not sure if that was just down to Jason Cooper drifting too wide or Andy McEwen turning in too early and closing it off.
Yeah, it's very, very close between these guys as they're going too wide. That is extremely close.
Oh, dearie me. I'm not entirely sure which way that one's going to get called in the steward's room. If we get another replay of it, maybe we'll be able to try and figure out, get an idea of who the guilty party was in that situation. We'll go to it now. And I don't know. We can't really see it from that angle again. So tricky. The first instance for me looked like Jason Cooper ran a little bit wide, and I think that's exactly what happened on the run into the corner. Jason Cooper running a little bit too wide into Andy McEwen. Andy taking a little bit of damage, losing a lot of positions, but the thing is, he can't necessarily be blamed for that one. I think that could go down to Jason Cooper, perhaps. You can see on board for Andy McEwen, there's a lot of space left on the inside. It's tricky though, isn't it, through the chase? The momentum of the car, while you turn into the right-hander, the car and the speed you're carrying in, understeer means it wants to go left.
Yeah, understeer is horrible in these cars, and it is, because there are no downforce, it is really, really... It's hard to explain. There's no downforce, so it's really kind of pushy and slidey, and it'll understeer, then it'll oversteer. It's just snappy, but they do make for some incredible racing, as we can see, and
as we see here, yeah. Definitely. So good little fighting all the way through, and again the long train of MX5s continues to make its way down to 12th place. Look at them all coming down through the mountain. Absolute, what a brilliant picture that'll be. Is I think the sun is getting a little bit lower in the sky here at Bathurst. The final race could be under sunset, and that'll be absolutely a feast for the eyes, won't it? Nick Clibbins then closing in on Luke Cooper this time, as we see a change of position up in front. Tom Griffiths going down through the chase, getting ahead of Michael Clough. These two have been swapping places, and I think Nick Clibbins is going to try and swap places with Luke Cooper down hard onto the brakes. Luke very late, as if you're able to get it through, just overshoots slightly, carries the speed though, and all of a sudden Andy's going to decide to get one place, maybe even two, because he'll get the run on Luke into Murray's. Late on the brakes, he's gonna send it, and he's gonna stick it. Good overtake that from Andy, taking two in one fell swoop, trying to charge back up through the order following disappointment and heartbreak just the lap before.
Yeah, it's extremely close between these two, and as they're going into the first corner, one of them sliding back in and getting the move done. So Luke Cooper just getting bombarded from each side, who was actually second in his class at the moment, which is a really, really good performance by him.
Yeah, excellent little race this, isn't it, from all drivers, to be honest. And a suggestion that we got an absolute sim race in before the this broadcast started was picking a driver of the round, and across all four races it's going to be so hard to pick one driver that's really been the standout. So maybe we'll have to pick a driver of each race potentially and try to shine light, because it's so difficult, isn't it, to get a full picture of exactly how the evening is going for different drivers across all four races, because so much happens. Us sport commentators do forget things sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I've pretty much forgotten what happened in the first race already.
I mean, I'm probably up there with you. I can remember that Jason Cooper won it and there was a crash on the last lap, but aside from that, not much stays in my brain. So we'll be trying our best to try and pick a driver that's done the best this evening, or that we feel deserves the spotlight shone on them a bit. Speaking of which, showing the spotlight on this battle between Stephen Cox and Duncan Cope. We like to try and find as much of the field as possible here on Absolute Sim Racing. Get all of the battles on track, because there's nothing more upsetting, isn't it, when you're in a race, you're trying to get involved in a battle, but the broadcast never catches it. So, Stephen Cox, what can we catch here in trying to make a move on Duncan Cope down through Skyline into the S's? Skyline, ever so aptly named, because that's all you see when you start to blow it down, is just the skyline. All you see is blue and white of the clouds, and also named because back in the 90s, the R32 Skyline was so dominant in the Australian Touring Car Series. It was a real force to behold, and I think that was also another reason why that corner managed to get its nomenclature. Now, though, Michael Clough further in front, under pressure this time from Sam Smith. Sam darts to the inside. Is he going to be late enough on the brakes to send it into Murray's? No, not a chance there. Michael with a very good drive through the corner, able to hold on, and the white flag is being waved already. So Tom Griffiths will start the final lap in first place, but that's not necessarily the place you want to be, because of how strong the draft and the slipstream is on this Mount Panorama circuit, with this straight and, of course, the conrod down into the cutting. Lee Holmes is going to go for it though, and it just bets that he's able to get such a margin on the mountain section that Tom Griffiths won't be able to fight back. Tom Griffiths is rather happy to let it happen, lifting out, allowing Lee Holmes through, and he's going to wait until the last lap. Oh, no, not the last try, but the last corner, but maybe not, because he's made a mistake. He's made a right hash of Griffin's Bend, and now it's James Clark's chance to get up back behind Lee Holmes, and take the race victory. Lee Holmes, though, up in the lead. I think he could be on for his first race victory of the season.
Yeah, James Neve as well, going side by side here with Nick Clivens, and it's just getting closer and closer every single lap. I really do wonder how this is going to end. That's not somewhere you should go too wide. And they're still too wide. This is just getting through there, Nick Clivens. And does that put James Neve under pressure by Luke Cooper? Is Luke Cooper going to try and get the move done going down the straight? Bearing in mind, James Neve. Oh, there's a car off there on the left. I think that was a lapped car.
But James, one of the Year 1 TV cars. Couldn't quite see which one it was, but I think they've decided to park it off the circuit, and instead of peeling into the pits, they want to be trackside and watching all the cars race by. Maybe not the safest chance, but of course there's never likely to be cars right there on the circuit. Further in front, James Clark trying to close down to Lee Holmes, but it doesn't seem to be working for him at the moment. So Lee Holmes could come through to take what will not only be his first race victory of the season, but also his first trip to the podium. What a way that will be to get your first visit onto the podium by being on the top step. But look at this, James Clark is going to fight for it. The 94 goes around the outside, tries to find his way through the number 1 car of Jason Cooper off of the circuit, getting out of the way for all the race leaders. Tom Griffiths could find himself up into second, or even in the race lead if he's able to get the move done into Murray's. 94 is going to send it into the final corner, and there's contact. No, Lee Holmes taken out. We could always see that was going to happen. The 94 was never not going to send it into the final corner on the last lap. If he was just covered off, maybe that wouldn't have happened, but very unfortunate there for Lee Holmes. Bitterly disappointing way to end the race. He found himself in a race winning position, but it was just so cruelly snatched from him at the death. And again, Murray's corner on the final lap proves devastating for all drivers when they try and fight for podium places here.
Yeah, very unfortunate, as Jason Cooper finished 25th, is that?
I believe so. I think Jason Cooper, finishing way down the order, could of course be eligible for a good reverse grid result if it works out for him, but that is of course if it works out for him. This was him, I think, nursing a lot of damage following his incident with Andy McEwen. Yep, only 3 wheels on that, missing a wheel. Again, nothing you really want to have, but he's able to make it work and still bring it across until the end of the race nonetheless. And this was Colin Sansom. Lot of damage on his car. I think he could see some cars rapidly approaching and instead decided to just stop it there, well off the circuit, and allow them through instead of struggling down through the mountain and holding everyone up. But we can now go to the reverse grid spinning wheel and find out who will be on pole position for this, the 3rd race of the evening. We're already halfway through the night. The racing does absolutely fly by, and it is a full reverse grid. Perfect. Very spicy action to come here on Absolute TV, and the drivers, I think, are about to make their way into the pit lane. So Cam, would you do us the honors of running through the finishing order for this, the 2nd race of the evening?
Of course I will. I haven't actually got them, but I will. We're just waiting for the cars to finish on track. And there we are. James Clark going P. Oh, sorry, can you take over, Ed? Sorry about that.
That's all right. Yep, James Clark there. Not pole position, but taking the race victory. Another Swift Cooper Esports driver taking the victory ahead of Tom Griffiths. Michael Clough in 3rd ahead of Sam Smith. Michael Seal. Andy McEwen did well to recover back up into 6th place following his incident with Jason Cooper at the midway point of the race. Bit of Nick Clibbins, James Neve, Luke Cooper and Arthur Panzel, who completes your top 10. Adam Fox there is in 11th, ahead of Shane Piggott, Nick Postance, Michael Linscombe Hatfield, Lee Holmes, after being a brilliant potential place to win the race and get his first trip to the podium. Unfortunately, finishes down in 15th place. Duncan Cope, Stephen Cox, and Luke Grundeman. Then we come to 19th place and Mark Oliver, who finishes ahead of Glenn Humberston, Douglas Stewart, Fiona Siddons, Anthony Beck, Robert Noble, Jason Cooper, and Liam Stimpson, which will be your front row for the third race, 25th and 26th. Liam Stimpson will be starting from pole position for Simtech Racing, ahead of the Swift Cooper eSports driver of Jason. There we go, of course, come down to Colin Sansom, first of the non-finishing drivers, along with James King, Craig Cockrell, Jeremy Scott, Julian Schroer, Chris Slater, and Simon Robson. And can't see any drivers coming in to have a word with us, so we'll go again to quick break, hop into the next server, and bring you all the action here on Absolute Sim Racing. It seemed that Cameron had to go for a quick moment, but hopefully he'll be back on board with us yet again for race 3. So we'll see you all in a few moments' time. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Absolute Sim Racing here at Bathurst. We've had two excellent races, and this has been, well, a typical BSR evening at this circuit. Plenty of action from start to finish, and that last race was only an 11 reverse grid, so whereas I thought, but we've got a full reverse grid here for this third race. Plenty of action still to come. We can give you a rundown of how it's looking so far in terms of some of the best drivers, some of the others as well. James Clark, I can say, is the top driver of the evening across both race 1 and race 2 with 170 points to his name, ahead of Michael Seal, who's second place, but also best of the Pro-Ams. There on 163 points. So then it's close all the way down. 162 points. We've got Tom Griffiths. Michael Clough is on 159. Annie McEwen is fifth best driver, third best Pro-Am in fifth place. And then we come down to, well, a race 1 winner after his second race. A very tumultuous second race, if it's polite to say. He's down in eighth place in the top driver standings for the evening on 143 points, but in this third race of the evening. He will be starting right up there on the front row of the grid alongside this man, Liam Stimpson.
Yeah, Liam Stinson is an incredible driver in these cars, as we have found out over the past races, and he has been setting an incredible performance. And with the full reverse grid, it's going to be interesting to see what he does in this next race.
Definitely, yeah. He's been one of the drivers that many have been calling to be moved up a class, moved up into the Pro-Am division. So we'll see if he'll be able to have a fight with Jason Cooper. But you'll have to say Jason Cooper's pace in that first race, if he can get through the first corner nice and safely, you'll expect him to take the checkered flag and also the race victory as well. So we'll see how it all pans out for all the drivers. They've got just 10 seconds to go in this little warm-up session. Sorry, it took a little bit too long as well in our break. Went a little longer than planned. There was a bit of delay in getting the third session up and running. But we're here now, and the action is about to begin with the drivers making their way to the grid. We should hopefully be able to run you through the starting order for this, the third race of the evening. Liam Stimpson there, pole position, ahead of Jason Cooper on the front row with Robert Noble, Anthony Beck, Fiona Siddons, Douglas Stewart, Glenn Humberston, Mark Oliver, Luke Grunman, and Stephen Cox down there in 10th place. Duncan Cope is 11th, and Lee Holmes down in 12th. Makes up the 6th row of the grid. Michael Linscombe Hatfield there in 13th place, ahead of Nick Postins, Shane Piggott, Adam Fox, Arthur Panzel, Luke Cooper, James Neve, Nick Clibbins, Andy McEwen, Michael Seal, Sam Smith, and Michael Clough there in 24th, ahead of Tom Griffiths, James Clark, Colin Sansom, James King, Craig Cockrell, Jeremy Scott, Julian Schroer, and Chris Slater, who rounds out the grid. Very sizable grid of over 30 cars. Still this evening, and with only a few seconds to go until the lights go on. Liam Stimpson from pole position, Jason Cooper around the outside. Will Jason be able to get the good run into the first corner, or even out of it up the mountain straight? We'll find out now as the lights go out and we go racing. Here, a good start there from Jason Cooper, but I think Liam Stimpson will just have the edge into the first corner. They all slot through single file. In the background, though, there is a whole gaggle of MX5s tussling for position, fighting it out amongst each other. We're seeing the battle this time between Nick Poston somewhere in the middle of all of this action. The distinctive blue and yellow MX5 there in 14th place, hooked up nicely behind the silver and red of Shane Piggott. Up the mountain straight they go. Arthur Panzel could be vulnerable to a move from Shane around the outside. A bit of banging close to us here, so it tells us that there's been something going on here at Griffin's Bend. I think Robert Noble potentially has been involved in an incident. We can see the number 7 very slowly and dropping back through the order very quickly into the lead of the race. It didn't take Jason Cooper long before he was able to find a way around Liam Stimpson. Good driving there from race 1, race victor.
Yeah, it's, as I said, this is going to be such an incredible race. You've got the slower guys at the front and the quicker guys at the back, and there are going to be sends throughout every single lap as we see the guys going too wide over the top of the mountain. It's exciting, but it's not unusual for BSR, because BSR produces some incredible racing, as we have found out over the past few races. Look at the train of those Mazdas, 2 wide, 3 wide back there. Nick Clibbins getting a really good run. We're on down with
Colin Sansom.
Get out of the way. Wow, that was lucky. That was very lucky for everyone behind him. He's got front left suspension damage, and he's going to carry on, which is going to cause an accident very, very shortly.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit ambitious if he's going to think he can get through the rest of this lap nice and safely without causing an incident or encountering further damage into the walls. So I think maybe he'll take a smarter option and peel off into the pit lane. Can't see he's doing that though on the timing software. So he's still out there on the circuit. I think all the other cars have slipped past him. Speaking of slipping past, Anthony Beck slips through into second place, but overshoots it at the cutting. And oh my word, massive collision on rejoining the circuit between himself and And well, both of them, Anthony Beck and Liam Snipes, a massive contact there. Well, that's both of them out of the race. Big damage, wheels missing. It seems to be the evening for it, doesn't it, Karen? Is it something that you've done? Is it just your presence? Oh no, and a big moment there for one of the Matthews Logistics cars on the exit. That was Fiona Siddons, fastest woman in BSR, but not like that, facing backwards, facing into the wall. This is it, on board with Fiona here, holding the inside line, and then just overshoots it. Oh, and just claps it into the wall on the exit.
Wow, she's very, very lucky there. And wow, there's a lot of cars on the grass there. Can we move back a little bit, see what's happening back there? We had about 4 cars on the grass on the left-hand side, and about 5 cars on the grass on the right-hand side, and lots of smoke in the middle of it. There's still loads of smoke, and there's definitely cars in the middle of the track, so that's going to be another accident there, unfortunately, for this race. I don't want to say it, but it's probably going to be one of many coming up. As we see another car in the wall. I don't know who that was. I think that was Sam Smith.
Yeah,
yes, that was Sam Smith.
Yeah, Sam Smith having a... Well, it's been eventful, shall we say, for one of these drivers, but he's up 9 places, so good stuff so far for Sam Smith. Closing in behind Michael Seal, who been having good move up through the field, and this is, oh my word, a big incident. That was at the start of the race, was it? And who was that? That was actually just now. Several drivers all involved. I'm not sure one of them has. Andy McEwen was one of them. I saw them before there. It did also lose out on a wheel, so I think that is the race over for one of the drivers that's been really up there at the top of the field. But no, Andy, you'd say that it was probably too good to last. He's been having a very good run of form, run of luck, you might have to say as well. And I think that's all come to a head there. Big incident, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, very big accident.
Hell corner, and well, certainly been hell for some of the drivers involved. Mark Oliver will be hoping for better in the 4th and final race. This is it, on board with Andy McEwen here. Comes out through the first corner, and then it all just happens in front of him.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Andy McEwen, but that is racing sometimes. And as we see Michael Seal going, oh, there's a spin up ahead, there's Metal cars off, don't rejoin like that. Oh, I thought he was going to rejoin vertically on the track while those cars were coming. That would have been extremely dangerous. As we see these guys going 2 wide into the final corner. I thought they were going to try and make it 3 wide. That was very smart of them to back out from Tom Griffiths and Michael Seal.
Yeah, it's a very exciting, very spicy race so far, even if the battle up front isn't as close as we saw in the second race with Jason Cooper getting in front and clearing off into the sunset. It's been a brilliant drive from him nonetheless. And as well, Douglas Stewart has been able to have a margin up in second place ahead of Stephen Cox. But then close battling through the rest of the field. The long train of MX5s makes its way up the mountain straight. Oh, and a bit of contact there between Nick Curbins and was that Luke Cooper or Arthur Panzer? No, I think that might have been Luke Cooper. They were very close door to door, but Nick Curbins getting through on the inside line, slotting in behind Arthur Panzer. The only reason why I think that it was probably not between Nick Curbins and Arthur Panzer is probably the fact that Arthur Panzer wasn't speared off contact onto the rear of these cars, especially on the rear corners, can send you around with a net code. So I think, to me, that was why Nick Clemens and Luke Cooper come into blows. Nick Clemens as well losing a wing mirror in all of that, but carries on nevertheless. Only a little bit of superficial damage. I expect him to fight up there in that 7th place spot for a little while yet to go in this race still. Now following James Clark here on board with the Swift Cooper Esports driver, who took the race victory last time out in the second race. In the third, though, not having the same fortunes across for us, and there is a big incident that he arrives at too as he makes his way down through this is after Tom Griffiths as well, suffering damage. That looks like suspension or wheel damage there for Tom Griffiths. Oh dear. And then another car, I think, up in front. Was that with wheel damage, perhaps? I'm trying to think up in front. Is that Jeremy Scott or was Jeremy Scott? I think actually just suffering a little bit coming through the... I think that was just suffering coming through left-hander through Forrest's elbow.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but
A lot of drivers, isn't it, getting
yeah,
involved
a
in
lot of drivers
incidents?
getting involved in lots of incidents, and yeah, I don't think they can do anything about it, to be honest.
It's such a hard circuit. And oh, a late lunge down the inside the 32.
Oh my
You see, he made it. You get it. He got it stopped on the apex. That's the one thing you can say is that he got it stopped on the apex, and I'm not sure if Jeremy Scott realised that he was there down the inside or what was going on. Chris Slater then with no wing mirrors on his wagon, at least if they are, they're hanging on there by a couple of wires. Looks a little bit sad, doesn't it, with the droopy wing mirrors? Oh, there's nothing sad about that move. Trying to get it through on the 390 of Adam Fox into Hell Corner. And, well, that move was almost heaven sent, wasn't it? Great lunge down the inside, but wasn't able to put it off. But now into Griffin's Bend at the end of the mountain straight. He has a chance to swing it around the outside. Let's follow this battle as it carries on up the hill. Late on the brake, Chris Slater nose in front. And around the outside, he will go. Carries the speed, carries the momentum. Through the corner, though, Adam Fox is still there. And now they're going to make it 3 wide. Are they? Oh, a little bit of contact. Adam Fox loses out. And, has Luke Grunman been able to get through and take that position through the cutting they go? And I think, you know what? Luke Grunman was able to get that done on Chris Slater. He slots up through into 14th place. Excellent overtake. And I want to see that again because that was amazing stuff from Luke.
Yeah, amazing stuff there by Luke Grunman, just getting that move done. Luke Grunman is
Hanging it around the
underdog.
outside.
Luke Grunman is definitely the underdog of this series. Hanging it around the outside, going through there, that is an incredible move. And yeah, you just can't knock it, can you?
So, and they can't, though, speaking of knocking it, the drivers do knock it into the walls as they made their way down through the dipper. But Luke Grunman, he's going to be in with a job now to stay in front of this train because all of a sudden he punches a hole in the air like this car is doing here. Michael Linscombe Hatfield punching a hole in the air for Luke Cooper, who comes through into 6th place. So the number 6 gets up into 6th place and now can set his sights on Arthur Panzel up in front. Oh, a lunge down the inside, that by Michael Seal on a very off-track number 13, Nick Plibbins. Got another car with the droopy wing mirrors. Definite door banging that's been going on down these straights. Drivers fighting for position as well as contact with the wall. And Luke Grunman. We said he was the underdog, and well, every dog has his day, and unfortunately that will not be today for Luke Grunman. Sees himself into the wall with a bit of damage, and that if that's his suspension, if that's a wheel knocked out of alignment, that could be race ending.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and commentator's curse, I think, is what they call it.
Definitely.
Saying something, and it just, yeah. Unfortunately for Luke Grunman, that is his race pretty much over. Yeah, he's in the pit lane now, so yeah, very unfortunate.
So, Luke Grunman has you to blame for that one then, Cameron. He'll be, I'm sure, writing you an angrily worded, very sternly worded message on Discord to you as we speak. Oh, look at this. Michael Seal around the other Michael. Linscombe Hatfield loses out to Seal here. Good overtake that was, though, by the 40-40 racing driver number 61 up there into 8th.
Just to check, how many cars did we start with?
Started with 32, and I think now running 18. So
a lot of cars
almost
out of this.
Yeah, nearly half the grid. If one of these drivers still out on the circuit gets involved in an incident, I think we will have exactly half of the field finishing and coming across the line, which just shows how tricky this Bathurst circuit is proving and how much these drivers, they love the circuit, they want to do well, and as a result they fight that little bit harder and crash just that little bit more.
Yeah, you have to drive this circuit like it's a rally stage. You have to be 95% on the limit and never more than that.
Otherwise, basically, you have to drive it like it's your own car, not in a sim, because if you do take a ding, if you do take a bang, You've got that hefty repair bill, which is why in the sim we see the drivers try moves that they maybe wouldn't do in their real life racing exploits. A lot of the drivers here in BSR do run a lot of races in club level and sometimes even higher in
I like
these
to crash my
series.
cars. That's kind of
You like to crash your cars, don't you, Cameron? But I don't think Michael Clubb is going to be hoping for that as he makes his way down the inside of Julian Schroer for 18th place, or for 17th place, rather. Gets through on the inside through the chase and now can focus on the battle between himself and Nick Postens, who's just up the road. We've seen quite a lot of Nick Postens, haven't we? He's always been there or thereabouts in the battles. It's also difficult to not see him, really, with the white, blue, and yellow. You can see the white flag being waved there, so that means Lee Holmes has only got one further lap to go, and I think it's Lee Holmes up in front. No, it isn't. It's Jason Cooper up in front. For some reason, my timing was throwing a bit of a wobbly there, so it's Jason Cooper with only one lap to go.
Arthur Panzel up 12 positions, Michael Seal up 15, James King up 17, Chris Slater up 18, Lee Holmes up 9. This is incredible. But just to point out that all of the AM drivers that are finishing are all 3 of them will be on the podium. And I don't know what class the yellow class is.
Pro, I believe.
Yellow is pro or is green pro?
Green is pro-am, yellow is pro, which is why, I mean, Jason Cooper, you can definitely tell that he's a pro because he's got 11 seconds to the good for the rest of the field, and I believe he's just going to be making his way out of Forest Elbow and down this back straight. So we'll see him across the line before we come back to the action further down. I can see a tasty battle between Arthur Panzel and, I believe, Stephen Cox starting to hot up. I think they're just coming out of Forest's Elbow. So we'll focus back to that in a little bit. But this man, he's been the star of both the first race and the third, where he will likely take his race victories. Of course, the second race didn't go his way, but what a way to bounce back, winning the third race by nearly 12 seconds in the end. The likes of Douglas Stewart and Lee Holmes. Meanwhile, Arthur Panzel did get ahead there of Stephen Cox at the last, but then Luke Cooper as well goes through on Stephen. So Stephen seemingly struggling down the Conrod straight, getting hung out to dry by Arthur Panzel and Luke Cooper. And oh my word, there was almost contact there between James Neve and Nick Clibbins. Nick Clibbins running very wide of the circuit. Will the stewards see that as leaving the track and gaining a lasting advantage? I'm not entirely sure, because he did have to go wide to avoid potential contact on the exit of the chase. So we'll see what's made of that. Meanwhile, 2 by 2, they will go through the final corner. Thankfully, no contact this time around. I think they've all learned from the earlier couple of races, and they come across the line. Aaron Fox ahead of Nick, Julian, and Michael there. And we do, in the end, have 18 finishers this race. It's been a race of attrition, shall we say.
Yeah, loads of cars just being filtered out from the incidents, but that's what a full reverse grid... Oh, whoa, I need to use English. A full reverse grid does to you. And I think I am finally going to be able to run through the finishing order of this race.
Eventually, but of course we will, I think, have to wait for all the drivers to come through to the end of the race. In the meantime, though, what we can do is have the reverse grid spinning wheel up on your screens for the final time this evening in preparation for the fourth race. So it's been a very, very quickly fly by race evening. You can see the wheel up there, and it will spin. Spin, spin, spin it does. And where will it land? A 13 reverse grid. Unlucky for some, but who will come through? That it's almost a full grid, which shows just what the rate of attrition has been this evening. Several drivers losing out with contacts and incidents and accidents and all other sorts of things that have happened. But we do, I think, have time to go through. Well, we have actually Stephen Cox in the interview waiting room, now in the comms box, and we haven't been able to run through the finishing order yet, but spoiler alert, you came through and took the AM class victory. Great drive from yourself there, mate.
Cheers, mate. It's better than the first one, wasn't it? When I drove into a wall, but that one was much better. I like that. It was good though. All battling with the pro guys. I saw in the mirror, and part of you wants to race them, and then you got to realise that you're not really racing them in the standings. But it's nice to come sixth overall within head of the AMs. It's good fun.
Yeah, definitely. And don't forget as well, the championship, it scores your points based off of overall finishing positions. I think the categories just show sort of who you're finishing better than, of course, in your class. So there is still something to be said about fighting with some of these faster guys. But we did see as well, you had a very measured drive at the end, not wanting to take any risks. And I think just the pace of Arthur Pants and Luke Cooper, did they just prove too much to you in the final few moments?
Yeah, those guys are rapid. I've only just started doing this, and they was so quick. And when I saw, is it Luke Cooper at the end?
Yeah.
When he tried to take me the inside, I tried to hold the steer. It was my nerves that were shaking the steering wheel. I tried to keep it straight, but luckily we made it through. But yeah, those guys are rapid. I just thought it's best to let them through. It's a shame that I couldn't hold at least one of them off, but no, just let them both through. It's all right.
But yeah, Stephen, it's been a very entertaining evening for you so far. Of course, you wanted to come in after the second race where you made up plenty of positions, didn't you, across race?
Yeah.
It's been quite an exciting evening for you.
Yeah, first race hit a wall. Second race I was sort of back of the grid and made up something like 16 places and come off 17th, almost got 16th at the end. And this one could have got 4th, but finished 6th. But yeah, it's been quite an enjoyable evening.
Yeah, very entertaining stuff from yourself, mate. And of course, we've got to go into the next over as well, run down the finishing order. Before we say goodbye to you, though, mate, is there anybody you'd like to shout out here on Absolute Sim Racing?
Shout out to Ben. Hope he's enjoying Italy, because I know that he wanted to race today, but he's got prior commitments. But yeah, cheers, guys.
Yeah, Ben Sharp, of course. Championship leader coming into this round, absentee, because he's down in Milan, the World Endurance Championship. So don't feel too sad for him, Stephen. I'm sure he's loving life in sunny Milan in Italy. So no, there's certainly worse reasons to miss out on a race.
Oh, and also Rob Noble Design, because he's sponsoring the cars as well.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice sponsorship on the car. Very nice paint job as well. But thank you, Stephen. We're wishing you all the best for the fourth and final race, because it is a 13 in the first grid.
Cheers, guys.
And with that, as Stephen Cox makes his way out of the interview waiting room, we can run you through the finishing order for the next race. And actually, Cam, will you do the honours? Because I've just remembered I need to do something quickly.
Yeah, for sure. So taking the win is Jason Cooper from Swift Cooper Esports. I say just behind him, but 12 seconds behind him is Douglas Stewart. Behind there is Lee Holmes, Arthur Panzel, Luke Cooper, Stephen Cox, Michael Seal, Nick Clibbens, James Neve, and running up the top 10 is Michael Linscombe Hatfield. P11 is going to be James King, followed by Sam Smith, Glenn Humberstone, Chris Slater, Adam Fox, Nick Constance, Julian Schroer, and Michael Clough. And that was all of our finishers. And then behind them, we have the first of the non-finishers, which is Luke Grumman, Tom Griffiths, Johnny Scott, James Clark, Robert Noble, Andy McEwen, Duncan Cope, Craig Cockrell, Mark Oliver, and Shane Piggott. And then just behind them, in P29, we have Colm Sansom, Liam Stimpson, Anthony Beck, and Fiona Siddons. So, fortunately, quite a few non-finishers there, but hopefully the next race is going to be a little bit cleaner and a little bit smoother. So, we're going to cut to a little bit of a break. Coming up is going to be race 4 with a top 12 reverse grid here at BSR in the Tegiwa MX5 trophy at Bathurst. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, everyone, for what is actually the final time this evening to Absolute Sim Racing for the Tegiwa BSR MX5 trophy here at Bathurst. We've had 3 wonderful races, but there's still one yet to come, and it's the all-important 4th race, the final chance for drivers to claw themselves back up the order, to claw back some points and get themselves a good finishing result. Certain drivers, of course, getting involved in incidents early on in the race. Some drivers just haven't been able to catch a break at all, so this is a perfect chance for them to try and get back up there, try anything that they can to have something to smile about once they leave here at Bathurst. Have a look through of all of the drivers this evening, some of the drivers that have done the best, and Jason Cooper, we said, was down as the 8th best driver. Well, after that last race, he was up there as the best now, 243 points to his name, ahead of Michael Seal in 2nd, Luke Cooper in 3rd, Lee Holmes in 4th, Sam Smith 5th best driver, Michael Off not too far back as well, 6th best driver. So there's plenty of drivers having good evenings. Top 10 this evening as well. James Neve up there in 7th, tied with Nick Clibbins actually, both scoring 208 points so far. And we have Douglas Stewart, who's been operating a little bit under the radar, but they're in 9th place nevertheless. And Arthur Pansel, who's been having a very up and down topsy-turvy evening, currently 10th best driver. Shows as well though how damaging it is for your evening to have a non-finishing result. Andy McEwen was up there, I think, as the 4th or 5th best driver, and that one non-finishing result means that he's down there as the 16th best driver on 156 points. So big damage dealt to Andy McEwen's prospects this evening. But enough about that, and we're going to focus forward instead to this, the final race, and the grid is up on your screen. Glenn Humberston and Sam Smith make up your front row, with James King, Michael Linscombe Hatfield, James Neve, Nick Clibbins, Michael Seal, Stephen Cox, Luke Cooper, and Arthur Panzel rounding out your top 10. Lee Holmes is 11th, Douglas Stewart is in 12th, with 13th in Jason Cooper, taking the race victory. Took the race victory last time out with a chance to snatch another in this final race, ahead of Chris Slater, Adam Fox, Nick Postance, Julian Schroer, Michael Clough, Luke Grundman, Tom Griffiths, Jeremy Scott, James Clark, Robert Noble, and Andy McEwen, who will find himself in front of Craig Cockrell, Mark Oliver, Shane Piggott, Colin Sanson, William Stimson, Anthony Beck, and Fiona Siddons. Rounds out the over 30 cars to make their way up to the starting grid. Glenn Humberston here at the front of the field. We'll get the race started very shortly here. Sam Smith not making it till the start of the race. So the lights will go out and we go racing for the final time here at Bathurst. Good getaway this by Glenn Humberston. He's not really going to be challenged at all into Hell Corner. James King, who will follow in behind, head of Linscombe Hatfield and James Neve. So we see the train of MX5s form up here in, well, as is tradition here at Bathurst, all trying to get the slipstream as much as possible. Arthur Panzel here getting a bit of slipstream off the cars in front, getting ahead of Luke Cooper. Battle for 8th place here. Look at all of the tussling in the background as well. 2 wide. Some drivers trying to make it 3 wide as well. A little bit of contact further in front. We've seen Michael Linscombe Hatfield drop down the order. So what has happened here? He's trying to fight back now against Stephen Cox. There could have been maybe a coming together, and if there wasn't before, there is now as they come into the cutting around the outside. Stephen Cox is able to throw it there and keep it there. So good little overtake from the driver that we just interviewed after the 3rd race. He took the Pro-Am victory from the 2nd, finished in 6th place last time, and he's currently looking to hold on to it this time here.
Yeah, very close by these guys, and he's definitely Glenn Humberstone, who is an AM driver in the lead. Very close, very close to the wall there, going 3 wide into Skyline. But I just have to say, Glenn Humberstone in the lead as an AM driver is incredible work by him. and hopefully he can stay there for most of this race, if not all of it.
Yeah, excellent stuff. This from all drivers coming up through. Andy McEwen looking to push his way through on Julian Schroer up in 18th place. And there's a big slowing down here at Forest Elbow. Andy McEwen sees it and goes wide. Other drivers maybe not so much, but what's going on here? Oh, they're having to stop. They're having to wait for all the cars to go by before they can get it moving.
That's not all the cars.
That's not all of the cars, is it? Yeah, as you mentioned, another one on the scene. This is the tangling that happened. Lee Holmes here up in front. And, just netcode out braking. Oh, dearie me. The two cars coming together. Linscombe, Hatfield, unfortunately, I think having a bit of netcode there. And they sort of get stuck together, don't they? And aren't able to get up and running. Another car arrived on the scene very late and damaged the front. I'm not sure who that was. That might have been Colin Sansom who arrived on the scene. Meanwhile, look at Jason Cooper. Very loose, very wide. His teammate, and I believe brother in the background, is looking for a move, but then thinks better of it. Who just says, I'll slot him behind. Jason is fast of the two in this situation as well. Nick Clibbins has had a moment here, and he's dropped well down the order. So what has happened to Nick Clibbins coming through Hull Corner?
It's such a hard we got an incident here as Nick Clibbins slid. Thankfully he got out of the way of everybody else, but hitting the wall, that'll be suspension damage. As we see a little tag going in through turn 2, that was Luke Cooper and Michael Clough. As we see the train of advances behind, as we've seen in every other race tonight, this is going to be incredibly close by these guys going up the mountain as we go back to Nick Postens and even further back to Julian Schroer, who are going too wide through Devil's Elbow. This is outstanding driving by these guys, and I'm surprised that they haven't touched more than they have.
It's so close up in front. Julian Schroer somewhere in that back that we're looking at, going back to Craig Cockrell, who is at the tail end of the train. You can see all of the action up in front, and we're going to follow him on board just to see what it's like being at the back of a train, going down through the section here after the mountain, going through Skyline, through the S's, and then into the Dipper. Such an amazing other circuit, but the walls come at you very quickly. You have to basically drive at them, but not into them, which is the key to going fast around any circuit like this, isn't it? With the walls ever so close. Gets a nice run there coming through Forest's Elbow. So, what will he be able to manage on Jeremy Scott? Getting into the slipstream of the car in front, but Jeremy as well will get a slipstream off of all of those ahead. Adam Fox, James Clark, Julian Schroer, all providing a nice slipstreaming service to those behind. Michael Seal, though, what a move that was. We just got the tail end of it up into the lead of the race. Chris Slater going wheel to wheel with Andy McEwen, leaving enough space. Andy McEwen took that space, took the opportunity, slingshotted it around the outside. So after, a disappointing third race, he's found himself up the order, and Chris Slater has to come through the pit. So maybe is that a penalty? Did he jump the start perhaps and has to come through to serve a penalty?
I think is either serving a penalty or required repairs. He may have jumped the start a little bit, but Tom Griffiths and Nick Postens going side by side, going to turn 1, and Nick Postens is going to get the run down into turn 2, but we've got Douglas Stewart going for the battle behind as well. This is going to get extremely close, extremely quickly, and the corner is approaching. They're going too wide, Douglas Stewart and Nick Postens. But watch out for Julian Schroer behind. Is Julian Schroer going to try and get the move done into turn 2? No, he's backing out of it. That's a very, very good idea.
He might have thought about it, but of course that's his teammate in front. There's no sense battling with your teammate, especially when you're up in this close train. If you make a move on one of yours, you'll either get yourself shuffled back through the pack or shuffle your teammate back. So it's best to try and work together to help each other as much as you can at this stage of a race. But we can come to a replay here. Arthur Pansler around the outside of James Neve, getting the move done into the cutting. Good little overtake that was. So now, what can he do higher up the field. Can they all try and close the margins to Michael Seal up in front? I think only time and the next few minutes will be able to tell us that. Tom Griffiths here with Nick Postance for company. Again, Nick Postance in the action. You can see so much of his car because he's very bright, but Douglas Stewart has just had a moment here, so very unfortunate there from the 777. We'll see if we can find a replay of it. What on earth happened as Tom Griffiths looks to get through on Luke Grundman, and there's a change potentially for the lead up in front. James King going through on Michael Seal, down through the chase. Michael Seal gives him the space, concedes position. They're just working together, trading drafts, slipstreaming one another along these straights to see if they can work together to build a margin up in front. Oh, look at that, lunging down the inside. Nick Postance, he's going to get the move stick. Is he going to overshoot? Just about parks on the exit, but has to run wide. Luke Grundman comes through, take the position. This is a replay of Douglas Stewart. This was him. What happens? Was it just down through the dipper? Oh no, it's his teammate. Oh no, rule number 1 of racing, never hit your teammate and never merge onto the racing line at high speeds through corners where other drivers cannot back out. Unfortunate, Julian Schroer just got caught out a little bit. The 777 did go offline and then trying to come back onto it was slow. 444 arriving at the scene has contact, and unfortunately it was a race ending incident for Douglas Stewart. But another thing to note is that it was between 2 teammates, so I doubt that the stewards will be asked to look at that, because teammates, they're never really going to protest with one another. They'll deal with it internally and then move on to the next one.
Yeah, that's usually what teammates do. I know I do that a lot. So yeah, every time I take
it, get crashed into.
I do.
Is it best not to say?
No comment. No comment.
Okay. Let's leave that thought there and swiftly move on to the action on track. Arthur Panzel in the middle of this 3-way fight for second place. Michael Seal ahead of himself. James King hoping that these 3 will start to battle, start to fight, and give him some breathing space up in front. Glenn Humberston, meanwhile, in the background is blinking in and out quite a lot, so that's going to be worrying for James Neve, who's going to look to try and get through all of this fighting as cleanly as possible, but it's difficult when a car is suffering internet issues, because netcode is very likely to occur, and on a high-speed circuit and through tight, twisty sections of the circuit, netcode is a potentially race-ruining factor for some of the drivers to come together. Oh, Anthony Beck very close to the wall on Forrest Elba. That's going to give him a good run because he was able to get the throttle so early in comparison to Liam Stimpson. So down the Conrad straight they go. Looks to the outside. A good hold of the inside there from Liam Stimpson, but I don't think he'll have an answer just to the overspeed of Anthony Beck. And then through the chase, side by side, still inside line will then be afforded to Anthony Beck. And the 77 finds himself in 17th place now.
Yeah, unfortunate for him, but obviously. Oh, Arthur Panzel just going up to P2. Here's a replay of the pass going into the final corner. Sorry, and very late on the brakes, giving him a little bit of a flinch, but just gets around him. What a move there by Arthur Panzel.
You could see that it was an attempt by Michael Seal to get the cutback manoeuvre. He tried to turn in, realised that Arthur Panzel was still there, and backed out of it. So very smart driving there from Michael Seal, seeing when the moves are and aren't available to be made. Probably had the call from the spotter last minute to say he's still there, so obviously as well backed out of that one and instead slotted in behind, lives to race and fight another day, does Michael Seal. And of course, it's not all over just because you lose out on a position. This track is one where you can overtake rather easily with the aid of slipstream, so expect to see Michael Seal tussling up there for second and potentially even first place. Look at this though, Anthony Beck has been shuffled back actually behind Liam Stimpson, so Liam got the upper hand down the mountain straight. And he was able to slot himself back up into 17th. So these two have been swapping each way and every way they can do, working together and fighting together as well. Lee Holmes in the background of our shot will look to see if he can capitalize on these two fighting. They're slowing each other up, bringing him into the mix. Could be a chance for the 35 to make a couple of positions just yet until the end of the race, as I believe we will be soon onto the final lap of the race. As when James King next comes to the line, he will find the white flag being waved to himself. That is, if James King comes to the line ahead of Arthur Pansel, because Arthur is closing the gap to our race leader. He's going to look for it down the inside through the chase, but doesn't go for it. Instead, opts to start the final lap behind in second place. Michael Seal, though, is going to look to try and get himself in the prime position to make up a few places as well. So don't count him out for the race victory. Any one of these drivers could go for it. And look who's arriving on the scene last minute. Left it late. Jason Cooper trying to bring himself in the mix for a move, and 2 wheels on the grass. Oh, look at that from James Neave. Excellent overtake. Is he going to stick it around the outside of Glenn Humberston? You know what? He does. Brilliant stuff from the number 7, but overshoots Hell Corner. And that brings the impetus back to the 88 Tech racing driver of Glenn Humberston, who's going to fight him as much as he can, but the slipstream will be gained by James, so I don't know if that move is going to be made. Look at this, though, further in front. James King down the inside has lost out to Arthur Pansel. Arthur got a great run coming out of Hell Corner and is now finding himself up into the lead of the race for the first time. But will it be the final change of position in this race? If he can get a good mountain section, he'll be a good shout for it, but that does hinge on him building the margin to James King.
Yeah, it's so close from these two. I've been watching Lee Holmes and Liam Stobson have a little bit of a battle here, going too wide into most corners. This is incredible. This is such good racing with these guys, and you can always count on racing like this in BSR Mazdas. It's always the same. It's always tight, close, and extremely good.
Absolutely a very good race that we've been treated to. Stephen Cox, like we said, has been having an entertaining evening. We've seen him quite a lot in a few of the fights. Last race, he obviously got the AM class victory, but hasn't been able to repeat that feat, as Glenn Humberston seems to be sitting in that all-important spot. And this is it for the race lead. Jason Cooper's in the background, but I think it's going to have to be between Arthur Pansel and James King. James King will find himself in the lead for the moment, but slotting back will be Arthur Pansel. Look at the overspeed as well by Jason Cooper. He's going to go for it on Michael Seal, and the 222 looks for it on James King. Isn't able to get it to work, but look at that. A couple of wheels onto the grass from James King. That could be his undoing. He then holds the inside line for Murray's corner, the final corner. Will we be seeing all 4 cars getting through this cleanly? Will we see the 222 take the lead on the final corner? No, he won't. James King holds onto it just about a couple of door-banging moments, but he's able to bring it, and Jason Cooper just snatches a podium place from Michael Seal at the death. Amazing finish to the final race this evening. The top 4 all separated by, well, less than half a second, and now there's several cars all with damage, all spinning out on the final corner. Adam Fox, 3 wheels on his wagon, but he was able to come through into 12th place nevertheless. So spirited finish to the race from Adam Fox. A good never give up attitude being shown by the year 1 racing driver. Michael Clough as well, battered and bruised, can bring his car across the line and finally get some respite from a damaged MX5. Now we're seeing close fight. This is for the final position out on circuit. Nick Clibbins on Craig Cockrell. Is there a move to be made? No, Nick Clibbins with a lot of damage. Looks for a move out of the corner, but isn't able to pull it off. Just missing out there. But another close finish at the end. However, James King takes the race victory for RAFE Motorsports. Brilliant drive that from James. Just finish as well, you have to say, and that is actually James King's first race victory of the season. Good stuff there from the RFE Motorsports driver, and we do have the confirmed finishing results. Taking his first race victory by less than a tenth of a second is, as we just mentioned, the RFE Motorsports driver James King, 23, takes top step ahead of Arthur Panzel and Jason Cooper, who fights brilliantly through the field to take third place, scoring some good championship points, crucial for him considering his main rival Ben Sharp isn't here this evening. Michael Seal then down in fourth place ahead of James Neave, with Glenn Humberston in sixth place, who also took the AM class victory. Andy McEwen finishes in seventh ahead of Tom Griffiths, and I paused because I was wondering where on earth Stephen Cox has gone. He's completely vanished, so we'll try and find out what happened to him. That was the reason why I paused. I was so confused as to where he's gone. Andy McEwen there down in seventh ahead of Tom Griffiths, Nick Postitz and Luke Cunman.
I was laughing at the cars flying in the background. Sorry, continue.
Sorry, so we've got Luke Cunman ahead of Sam Smith, Adam Fox, Anthony Beck, Lee Holmes, Julian Shaw, Jonas Siddons, Luke Cooper, Michael Clough, Shane Piggott, Chris Slater, Stephen Cox, Michael Linscombe Hatfield, Mark Oliver, Robert Noble, Craig Cockrell, and Cliff Ince with Liam Stimpson, James Clark, Douglas Stewart, and Jamie Scott, Con Sanson rounding out the field. But what's even that was the cars are making their way through the Bathurst jump, and well, there's not much more to say about that. Hopefully we have a few drivers coming through for post-race interviews once they've done laughing about all of the action post-race. And as I say that, look who comes into the comms box after taking his first race victory. James King joins us in the commentary booth. James, congratulations on your first victory of the season. And it's a hard venue to make it at Bathurst. Great stuff, mate.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. That was... what a race. I don't know what more I can say. That was phenomenal. That battle towards the end with Arthur, with Michael, and almost with Jason as he caught us. Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, that final lap, those final few corners was nail-biting stuff. I don't know how it was like behind the wheel, because inside the commentary box, we didn't know which way it was going to go, and it was just in the final corner when you made that decisive move.
Yeah, I thought when I got a bit of a bad run out of the chase, and I thought that was it. It was gone. But yeah, we thankfully managed to keep it clean. We did bang doors, but yeah, neither of us suffered, thankfully. So we still managed to finish first and second. But yeah, I mean, such a good race.
Yeah, you can't really ask for much more than that. And how does it feel like as well? You've obviously been in this BSR since the start of the season, and you've come quite a long way. You've gotten faster every round, and you've finally got a good reward.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a little bit of practice with the Mazda as well. We ran a championship for the early part of this year using the same car. So whilst the car did change slightly before this season started, yeah, that experience helped me a lot. And yeah, as I've steadily been getting better and better, and this round it seemed to all fall together for me.
Yeah, it's gone very nicely for you. Is this a sign of future things to come? Do you reckon, James, you can take another race victory somewhere down the line?
Ooh, fingers crossed, eh?
Fingers crossed, indeed. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you out on track on the next round. I'm trying to remember when it is, because I think there was a track vote, wasn't there, James? I don't know if you've got any information on what that was going to be, because I think we were scheduled to go to Tsukuba Circuit.
Yes, I believe we're going to be running Red Bull Ring in its place, which should be a fun experience.
Yeah, exactly. Another circuit where Slipstream will be king, so we'll see if James King will take another race victory there. Thank you very much, mate. And before we say goodbye to you, is there anybody you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, all the guys at the RAF Motorsports team. Chris and Michael. We're making our first foray into external leagues as it is, and yeah, the guys have got a great support, and they're just as fast as well. So hopefully we'll have a really good season.
Absolutely. Well, you're in good company. The BSR MX5 series always throws up great racing, and you've been involved in a great finish, mate. Congratulations on your first race victory of the season.
Thank you very much.
So, everybody, that was James King, who came in after his first victory in the fourth and final race of the evening. And, well, we now have to look forward to the sixth round of the championship when we go to the Red Bull Ring. First time I will have commentated on any action here at the Red Bull Ring. So, Cameron, I don't know if you've had any experience in that. What is it like as a circuit?
I haven't commentated it, but I have raced it. It is a very nice circuit, actually. It's very, very fun to have a little bit of a mess about on, and I really enjoy it. I know a lot of people don't enjoy it, but yeah, I really enjoy the racing on it. It is really, really fun, and hopefully the racing is going to be as good as tonight, because tonight's racing was absolutely incredible.
I tend to find in BSR they make any track brilliant as long as you can fit 2 or 3 MX5s around a circuit abreast. Then you're going to be in for just a great evening's racing, as well as the slipstream being strong there. We've got that sort of final sector. They're going through a section of sweeping lefts and rights at the end. That's going to be amazing to watch the MX5s make their way through there. So I believe that is all the time we have for this evening's racing here in the BSR Tegiwa MX5 trophy here on Absolute Sim Racing. Everything is from myself, Cameron, and Dan. It's goodbye, take care, and stay safe.